we're recording. Okay, so for projectile motion, there's a few words that you have to look out for, and I'm sure you know that, but you know the normal kind of, what equation do you guys use?
Delta X equals VR. Yeah, we use VR.
Fine, but you know it's the same thing, and as the whole UVAST thing, it's fine. A lot of schools a few years ago decided to change because the IEB decided to be like the government, and now they've changed it back. So both are on your information sheet, and you'll be fine. All right. So the first thing is that you know what they are for. Okay, I'm just going to do that. So U is going to be VI, V is going to be VF. A, you know what it is, and that's delta X and delta T. I don't actually know why we're saying delta T, because if you say it takes a time of 10 minutes, the difference in time is still 10 minutes, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so you're happy with this. You know that this is initial, final, acceleration, you know all of this. Okay. The one thing that people get confused with displacement when it comes to projectile motion is when you forget to assign a sign, a positive or a negative, to delta X. That often happens because you think so much about the acceleration, the velocity, and all those things, and then you just put a value in, and you'll see when we go to the examples that is going to happen. Okay, so then the first word that you have to look for is if it says drop, what do you know? Okay, so you know that initial velocity is going to be 0. Okay, so if they don't say drop, don't assume dropping. Okay, obviously if they say fall, then it's like dropping. If it's thrown, you need to decide if it's thrown up or down, and immediately you must know that there is that U or VI is not equal to 0. Okay, VI for up and down motions is not always 0. That's another common mistake. And then the other thing that we'll look at, if something is thrown upwards and it ends up landing here, so your first job when you get these questions is to decide, is up positive or is down positive? Now, some teachers force you to say up is always positive. I'm sure Mr. Pillay doesn't do that, does he? Okay, so because you can't do that, because teachers were doing it, the examiners became clever and they now force you in a certain question to make up negative. So according to the graph, you've done graphs of motion as well, right? According to the graph that you get, they decide for you already in that, but you must still decide, have they decided up is positive or have they decided down is positive? Okay. If something is like this, so if this is positive, then VI is going to be positive, right? What is VF going to be when it lands on the floor? What is VF? Not the size, just is it positive, negative, 0? What is it?
Negative.
Okay, none of you want to say that it's 0, right? Okay, because that I also get, that it lands on the floor and the velocity is 0. Please don't say that. It'd be great. I'd be jumping off roofs all the time if I can hit the floor at a 0 velocity. Okay, and then you need to decide about your acceleration. Which direction is your acceleration always?
Down.
Always down. So whatever you decided down is, so in this case, this final velocity would be negative and the acceleration would be negative. Now, what will my delta X be? Positive, negative, 0.
Negative.
Delta X must be negative, and this is the one where people make mistakes, because so they tell you that this is 100 meters and you just go delta X is 100 meters, and you forget that because we decided down is negative, they have to put the negative, and that's the main problem with these questions.
You say VF was positive.
VF is negative.
So is delta X going negative after the maximum path?
Remember, you never have to see it as two different motions. If they ask you for delta X, it's from the starting position to the end position. You only worry about this point if they say maximum height. Because this whole thing happens in one time. It doesn't matter if it goes, and that's actually another thing I should have mentioned. It doesn't matter if it goes to Mars and back. Delta X is only from here to here. I'm sure you've seen that hot air balloon question. Everyone has asked that hot air balloon question, and I've got it here as well again, because that's a common mistake that is made. You think you have to worry about how far it goes up. You really don't have to. This is displacement. So it's from the starting position to the end position. Whether it's traveled the world before it gets to the floor doesn't matter. Start to end. Okay, so you must, and that's why people waste a lot of time. You work out this first, you work out the time, then you say that's the same time, and then it becomes 3 calculations where it should be 1 calculation. And in physics, you don't have time to waste. Chemistry is not so bad, but physics, no time to waste. Okay, then it's the bouncing ball stuff. Is there anything about projectile motion that's bugging you right now that you want to ask me to go through before I worry about bouncy balls? You're fine. Erin, you're fine.
Oh, good. Can you please do bouncing balls where up is negative, down is positive?
Sure. So let's go through, because the bouncy ball is now almost in every single final paper. They're putting it in everything. So if you let's look at the different scenarios. So we are standing on a roof. We are throwing the ball up and it lands and it does this. Okay. So, you guys are all, Erin, did you see the classroom link? So this classroom has all the videos. So I don't know, I'm just going to show them quickly as well. So I'm just getting a little bit distracted. But you'll see all the past paper questions, all the notes, everything is here. So, so it's the revision group. So you'll see it's got it is divided in topics as the questions comes in the finals. So you will see all the notes for vectors, all the notes for kinematics, and then under kinematics, those past paper questions that I've just loaded for you, all the past paper questions are here. There's crash course videos are here. Those things that I shared with you last week, all of those are there. Then for each topic, it's like this. Okay, so yeah, you'll see there's quite a lot of people. There's some people on this classroom that I really don't know. But so if you want to just take a photo of the link, then you can just join it, and then you'll find all the stuff there.
How are you going to know science? Nothing. So much science. Yeah,
all the IEP past papers are on here. There are prelims from other schools. The IEPT papers are on here. The IEPTs are I know you guys don't do IEPTs, but it's very good practice for multiple choice, and lots of teachers take their multiple choice questions out of the IEPTs. So you will see that at the end of it, there's chemistry papers, there's physics papers.
Thank you so much.
It's obviously stuff that you haven't done yet, because the schools do it 11 and 12 in different order. So you guys can just go and find what you need. All right, back to where we were. Okay, so you'll see that in all those past papers, there are now bouncy ball questions, all the IEP questions. So what I'm going to look at is the velocity time graph, because this is normally the one that they give you, and then they ask you to draw acceleration time and displacement time graphs. That's where people normally get stuck. Okay, now you want it up to be negative, right? Yeah. So we decide that up is negative. So sometimes you're not going to see it, the question's not going to tell you that. But if you see, okay, let's just go through the motions. If it started here, what would the question state? The object was?
At rest.
Before it dropped, yes. So it would say drop or fall. So if you see that it starts at 0, then you know it was dropped. If it starts there or there, then you know it was thrown. And then you need to decide about positive or negative. But we don't now decided we're going to make it thrown, and we're going to say that it goes up as negative. So that means that it will start here with a negative velocity. Now,
it's negative.
Yeah, because we decided that up is negative. So what must our acceleration then be?
Negative 9.8.
It's 9.8, but is it negative or positive? Now it must be positive 9.8. So that tells you the slope of your graph. Remember, a velocity time graph, the slope of the graph is your acceleration. You guys are fine with those different things, what to use? Okay, so now think about the object. Is it speeding up to get there or is it slowing down? What is its velocity at the top always? Always zero. So I don't call it, I just always say V top is zero. So you know that when it gets to the top here, its velocity must be zero. But now how is this line going to look? Is it going to be a straight line? Is it going to be a curve? Is it going to be what?
Straight.
It has to be straight because my acceleration is constant. So it's going to be a straight line. And remember also, they make life very easy for us in matric and at school. You will never get changing acceleration. So your lines will always be straight for velocity time. Just remember that. So we're going to go straight from there. And if you have to draw a line, use your ruler. And there it is. Now, and can you see my gradient is positive? So the gradient must be positive. Now, when it goes from there, it starts from zero and it goes faster, 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 faster until it reaches the ground. Where will it always have its maximum speed? Just before it hits the ground. So does the acceleration change? Now, when it goes this bit? No, it's still 9.8 exactly. So that is why this line that we have here must just carry on straight. But it hits the ground at a positive velocity. So here, where it crosses the x-axis, is always going to be v top. This point here, always v top. This point here, when it's the maximum, now this could be at the bottom as well if we made it negative. So that there is going to be when it hits the ground. But then, what happens as soon as it leaves the ground? Where is it going now, positive or negative? Now it's going up again, and we decided up is negative. Yes, so if it's an elastic, you haven't done elastic collisions yet, right? So if it doesn't lose any energy, in real life, it will never go as high as it came from. So it will never go back there. So it will be lower, lower, lower. So it will lose some energy. So the velocity that it leaves the ground at here should be in real life a little bit smaller than there because it's lost energy when it hits the ground. Sometimes I'll tell you it's an elastic collision, which will mean that it doesn't lose any energy. So it's going to start here somewhere. But now when I draw the line, what is it going to look like? It's going to go slower, 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 slower again, right? It's going to go slower, slower, slower until it crosses. That will be my V top again. And then it's going to go faster, faster, faster until it leaves the ground again, or hits the ground again. So all of these will always look like this. They will always be straight lines. And when we look at the past paper questions, you will see they're always parallel lines to each other. This is going to be where it leaves the ground. This again is V top. This again is when it hits the ground. Now what you need to realize is sometimes, so this is the second hit. Sometimes the questions say, how high did it go after the second bounce? Then you must just know, this is where it reached. So then people think this is the time it hits. That's not the time it hits. This is where it reached the top the first time. That will be the maximum height. So how would you work out the maximum height? Well, let's get back to that. We'll get back to that now. Okay, so are you happy with what the graph means?
Yeah.
But now they're going to ask you for a displacement time graph. Do you struggle with that? No, yes?
Yeah. I can't, it's hard to convert. That's a good question.
So the displacement time graph is acceleration time is super easy. What will the acceleration time graph always look like?
Straight.
Always straight line. So for this one, it will literally be a straight line like that because our acceleration is positive.
Oh.
So it will be a straight line at the top. You could have a little hiccup there when it hits the ground because the ground, so what they sometimes do is once you have done energy, they do that often. just take that one away. So you will have a line when it hits the ground the first time, then the ground pushes it up. And remember, up is negative. So then there will be a small acceleration here where the ground pushes it up. And then it goes there again. But up we decided was negative. So the ground pushing it up must be negative. Gravity pulling it down must be positive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so acceleration is always going to be parallel lines. You guys are fine with that. If it's a displacement time graph, this is where people get confused. All right, now we still decided that up is negative. Don't change halfway through your question because you're going to get your brain totally confused. So we still decided that up is negative. Okay, now you need to think about this. And also in the question, nowadays they're forcing you to make a reference point. So if they say use the ground as your reference point, that means 0 is the ground. Okay, so you need to read the question. So let's say they do say that the ground is the reference point. Am I starting up from the ground or down from the ground?
Down.
That would be nice. So I'd be like a hobbit living underneath the ground. So am I starting up from the ground or down from the ground? I'm starting here. So my displacement when I start, if my ground is my reference point, is up from the ground. And what did you guys want up to be?
Negative.
Negative. So that means I'm starting here, down from the ground. Can you see? Must I take my badge away? And this is where things become tricky now. So when this point here, when it hits, so this here, what is its velocity here again? V top is going to be 0. All right, so let's just talk about that. So when it goes up first and then it comes down. I don't have much space here. Let me just, I'm actually going to just start there. I know it's not to scale here, but it's fine. So I'm starting there. So now when I throw it up, is it going to go further from the ground or closer to the ground? Further from the ground until it hits the maximum point, hey? And then closer to the ground. So first, I need to go, don't worry about the lines how to get there yet. We'll go look at that now. But first, I need to go further from the ground. So like, it's going to go further from the ground until it reaches that point. And then it's going to go closer to the ground, and eventually it's going to hit the ground. At this point here, we just use another color. At this point here, it's going to hit the ground. You happy with that?
Yeah.
Can it ever go underneath the ground? No. So I should have not even given myself that space. If the ground is 0, it can never go underneath the ground. And that's what a lot of people do. You go like all over the show. Okay, so now we need to decide, okay, let's just carry on with the dots first. Then it hits the ground. Then it leaves the ground for the first bounce. When it gets here, has it gone up from the ground or down from the ground? Up from the ground. And we decided that up is negative. So it's going to go negative again. Happy with that?
Yeah.
All right, now let's see what this graph is going to look like. What is the velocity here when it reaches the top?
0.
Velocity is 0. What of this graph gives me the velocity?
Gradient.
It's the gradient. So at that point, what is the gradient going to be? 0, so it needs to be a flat line. Now it's kind of easy to draw that line because I need to end up in a flat line. So you can see that it needs to be a curve like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's going to do this. When it hits the ground, is it going to be, what is the velocity then? Maximum, minimum, 0? When it hits the ground? Fastest. So what must my gradient be? Steepest, yes. Okay, it has to be a curve, but it has to end up with a very high gradient. And it's going to be my acceleration, it's going to be positive because it's going down. And we decided down is positive. So when it hits the ground there, my velocity is positive and big. So my gradient must be positive and big. And once you've decided that, again, it's easy to bring this graph to meet that one. Obviously not below the ground. We're not hobbiting. And then once you have that, the rest becomes easy because now you know, yeah, it's going to be here reaching 0 again. So it's going to be a flat line again. So you're just going to do that again. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a shortcut that you can just check yourself with. If this line here goes up, this line here is always going to smile. It really does work. If this line here goes down, this line here is always going to frown. So down, frown, up, smile. Just always, you can check yourself like that. You'll see when we do the other questions that always works. Okay, are you okay with this theory? Should we do a question? Is there anything that bugged you about this still? Sometimes it's good with mechanics. It's better to do questions because then you can see where you guys are getting stuck. What people do get wrong is that it hits the ground at maximum speed, v top is 0, and then to go to these ones. Are you okay with the negative? Right. So let's look at questions. You have them. I only picked out, so those questions that I copied for you there are all the kinematics questions from 2018 and 2019, past paper and past supplementary paper. They're there. But I only snipped the ones that are on projectile motion for today. But obviously, it would be great for you to go and do this as soon as possible while it's fresh in your memory. When is your exam?
The first exam. Monday a week.
Oh. But it's still close. I thought it's like still coming. Wow. Okay. All right. But you now have all those crash courses, so you've got no excuse. You could go watch those crash courses. All the solutions for these are there. So what's always nice is if you do them before and you come with questions, or you email me the questions before, because then I can throw them into a sheet like this, and we can just go through what your issues are, and we don't have to worry about the theory. All right, let's go. So this one says, now that you know that, so this is a multiple choice question. Guys, multiple choice questions are underestimated. They are hard, and you need to teach yourself a method to answer them, and you mustn't waste too much time on them because some teachers say leave them for last. I don't believe in that. Do them first, but don't spend more because there are 10 multiple choice questions in your final. It's normally about 10% of your paper. Do them first, but do them fast. Get the ones that you can get quickly, but the others, as you read through them, there's always 2 rubbish answers. I don't know if you've realized that. There are always 2 rubbish answers. Scratch them out so that when you get back to it at the end of your paper, you don't have to read through them again because now you've scratched them out and they call it a distractor and an answer. The distractor, so there's 2 that you're going to be worried about. So once you've eliminated the other 2, you've got a 50-50 chance to get them right. So if you do run out of time, at least you're just choosing between those 2 and you don't have to worry about the 2 rubbish answers again. So if we look at this, they say the ball is dropped vertically from rest. And how would you know it's from rest if the question didn't tell you this? Nice, it's starting at 0. Did the question decide up was positive or down was positive? I know this is not about the question, but I want to see if you know now. Okay, if it's dropped, where does it go? It goes down. Where did this graph go? Positive or negative? It went positive. So they decided down was positive. Please note that in a longer, you didn't really need it for this one, but you need to think about these things before you start answering a bouncy ball question. Let's think about it quickly. When it reaches this point here, tell me, where is it?
Oh, yeah.
Because the speed is high. Okay, so maximum height will always be at 0 somewhere. So it's where it hits the ground, because remember, fastest is where it hits the ground. Where is it leaving the ground? At A, B, C, or D?
B.
Can you all see that? Because at B, the direction changes. So now it's not going down anymore, it's going up. So my velocity is negative.
And A would be top.
But is it?
No, it can't be.
That is what half the country answered. So I don't blame you for saying that. So, okay, so let's get the rubbish out of our way. The rubbish answers would be
C and D.
B and D, because there's a velocity there. The question says, at which point does it reach a maximum height? So maximum height, what do we know about maximum height? V top is 0. Yes, we know it's 0. So now if you were doing this in the exam and you weren't sure, you would have scratched out D and B. So when you come back to it, 50-50 between A and C. Happy with that?
Yes.
But now which one is it?
C.
Why? Why not A?
It's strong. It's just leaving the ground and you get to mathematics.
Exactly, and when you're doing energy later, you will see that they will actually do this. They will make this take time because it doesn't hit the ground in no time. So this gradient here, can you see this gradient is now negative? So the acceleration for that bit is negative, and that's when the ground is pushing it up. And that makes sense later on when you do energy. They can combine all of mechanics in one graph, which is so lovely. I'm still waiting for that question to come one day. Okay, so the answer is C. Well done. Erin, are you still with us or have you passed out?
Okay, now can you just explain one more time? So it hits the ground just before A.
Yeah, so here, always at maximum speed is where it hits the ground. So it hits the ground going positive, positive, because they decided positive it down. Positive, 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 hits the ground. Then it leaves the ground, negative.
Oh, so it's still leaving the ground at B.
So at B, it leaves the ground.
Oh, okay.
So between this point and this point, it's in contact with the ground. So it has to stop. So if you think about it, when it hits the ground, it has to go a little bit into the ground, stop, speed up, leave the ground. But that bit is what happens here. So this is when it stops, basically inside the ground, if you want to see it like that. And they more and more use trampolines. You'll see even there's a question here in the notes there that you'll see that now they're making that take time. Because if it's a trampoline, it takes time for that to happen. Then it stops there at the bottom, which would be that point A on your graph. Then it speeds up and then it leaves the trampoline.
And then it gets to maximum height.
Again, yes.
So B leaves the ground.
Sorry, let me just get back there. So B, it leaves the ground. C is maximum height. D, it hits the ground for the second time. There, it leaves the ground for the second time. So talk yourself through the story when you get a graph like this. Once you've done that, when you look at the questions, people think it wastes time to think through it. Please don't think it wastes time, because then the questions goes much faster when you get to that.
Should we have to draw a picture?
Yes, you can draw a picture, definitely. Should we look at what the displacement graph would have looked like for this one? Because that's more and more what teachers are loving to ask. I mean, the other questions, you still have the answers if we don't get to them today. I copied way more questions than what I thought we will get to, because I wasn't sure what you guys have problems with. But bouncy balls are always, there's actually a video on bouncy balls as well. Please turn the sound down. My voice is so irritating on video. I don't know, I'm so over my own voice. Just turn it down. Okay, so displacement time. What did they decide? Again, that's your first question you ask yourself. Up positive, down positive. They decided down was positive. You always are going to assume that when you start looking at it, that's where its displacement is 0. Okay? I lie, because the question could tell you, use the ground. What do you want as the reference point? You guys can decide for this one. Do you want the ground to be the reference? Do you want the point of throwing to be the reference?
The ground.
Normally, it's the easiest to do the ground as reference, because then you can picture it in your mind. So if the ground is your reference point, did the ball start on the ground or above the ground? Above the ground. So it started here and it was dropped. So did it start positive or did it start negative?
Positive, because positive is downwards.
But did it start down from the ground or up from the ground? Delta X is the tricky one, guys. It's negative because it's starting up from the ground. Here's the ground. If the ground is 0 and you decided down was positive, it's starting up from the ground, so that means it's starting negative again. So it's starting here again. So I didn't actually need that bit. I actually want to move it this time. Is Mr. Pillay still writing on the board or is he at least using technology now?
No,
Sure. All right, so it starts there. Then, if you look at, do the crosses first. Don't forget about the lines. Forget about the lines. Just look at what does it do at this point here. What is it doing? It hits the ground, so it's going to be on the ground. So you know it's going to be on the ground. Now, when it starts, they told us that it was dropped. What is its velocity when it's dropped? So what would my gradient be? If the velocity is 0, remember displacement, the gradient is my velocity. So you know that you are going to start here with a straight line, right? When it hits the ground, is the velocity big, small, 0, positive, negative? Big, and it is positive because it hits the ground at a positive velocity. So you know your gradient must be big, steep, and now you can join your lines. Do you like this way of doing it? Because I just think it makes you think through the steps, but it also gives you a quick and easy way to draw your lines. So now you just know I need to go from flat here.
When velocity is 0, that means flat.
Say again? Yeah, when the velocity is 0, because the gradient of your displacement time graph must give you your velocity. Remember those graph things. Displacement time gradient gives you velocity. Velocity time graph gradient gives you acceleration. You guys are fine with that? Yeah. Did you do that in grade 10?
Yeah. But on Zoom, so it was
not the greatest. Yeah. And there we go. That's what our line's going to look like. Now, obviously, these ones you're not going to have on the little gradients. You're not going to have on you, so you can just get rid of them. But that shows you nicely what your lines are.
Not so flat at the beginning.
Yeah, that's just me being a horrible drawer. You must show that it's flat in the beginning. So I should do it on this line and then join that line. Yes. I can't even see where I'm drawing. I'm actually.
Yeah, how do you do it?
So sometimes I'm just lazy and I don't focus. I've been using this for the last 20 years. So when lockdown hit, it was easy for me to convert, or to just carry on as normal. So I was lucky. Some teachers found it very tricky. Okay, now.
There's a rock separation without a whiteboard. How do you do that? I'm not quite sure.
But did he not project the board?
He did. Okay. Zoom. Because use his notes. No. And his skills. No, exactly. No, he did draw us. On Zoom, he did. With the little drawing thing.
He tried.
No, he tried. No, he just did.
You guys, when he arrived at Yeshiva, he was like totally out of his depth. He's grown so much. You guys are so lucky. No, he has. He's become good. He's become good. If you had to see him in the beginning, because he came from a government school when he came to Yeshiva. And he's actually, if you look at his notes are pretty good that he gives you guys. Don't you think?
Yeah.
And now you've got our notes as well, so you can't complain. Okay, now when it hits there, Because it leaves the ground. Now it's going to leave the ground. Is it going up from the ground or down from the ground? It's going up from the ground. Is it positive or negative? Negative. And when it hits C, yeah, where is it? What is the gradient? The gradient is 0. The velocity is 0. So you know it's going to go into a flat line again. And now you can do this again. And then it becomes easy. Guys, the displacement time graph is always, if you were to look at the ball bouncing, it's going to show you what the ball is doing. Obviously, if negative is positive, it's just a flipped version of it. But it's always going to show you what the ball is doing. So here's where it hits the ground the second time, and that's where it hits the ground the second time. Again, this line is going up. Can you see this is smiling? This line is going up, smiling. So we know we've done it right. Just a way to check. Okay, this one doesn't have a graph. So we can just go through the method because you have the answer. You haven't done Newton's laws yet, have you? Is it in your exam?
No. We do mention which is Newton's law. We haven't done some stuff we do has that Newton's law in it. Yeah, but we haven't done Newton's law. We have to answer some questions on to do with Newton's law. We haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think this is where it happens. Because sometimes in a kinematics question, there will be something on Newton's laws as well. You haven't done momentum though, hey? Okay. So it does happen, and you will see once you've done all the mechanics, that's you know what the mechanics are, all the motion stuff. Once you've done all the motion stuff, if you look at IEB past papers, question 3, for instance, could have momentum, Newton, kinematics, vectors, all in one question. They're not going to tell you this is a vector question, this is a Newton question. So the sections are all combined for mechanics. And that is probably what happened. So he uses a question that's on kinematics, but something about Newton slips in. So that's probably what happened there. All right. So a hailstone of mass that. She actually Googled this to make this realistic because that sounded for me very fast. That a hailstone, you know how to change from meters per second to kilometers an hour.
Times
by 3.6. So that means that this is almost 100 kilometers an hour. That hailstone hits the ground. Now you know why it causes damage to cars when it hits the car. Because I was like, yo, this is fast. Anyway, define acceleration I'm not going to look at. Did you find this question on your notes? It's later. I just skipped through the ones that are not projectile motion. Okay, so let's just see if it wasn't a graph, if you guys are fine with that. Calculate the distance the hailstone traveled from the top of the stone to the ground. Also, you need to teach yourself exam skills. Super easy, plug and play, think a little bit. So don't make something out of the second question that it's not. It's never going to be a hard question. It's always going to be easy. Just normally plug and play. You choose an equation, you choose an equation and you just do it. Where am I now? Huh? Did I just delete it? Oh, I've got no idea what I did. There we go. All right. So calculate the distance a hailstone traveled. When you get a question like this, what are you going to do? Decide what you have. So this is where I like because I just go UVAST and then I put everything in there, but that's the same for you guys. So that will just be VI. VF UVAST is just nice to say. So you I always read the question quickly to get a sense of what's going on, the story. Remember, the story is important. And then you put in your values. A hailstone of mass that falls from rest. From rest. Is that screaming something at you? Which velocity? Initial velocity is 0. The average acceleration of the hailstone when falling is 0.21 meters per second. So can you think about 9.8 ever in this question? Please, you can't. 9.8, I've seen people who use 9.8 for a car travel on a horizontal surface. Please, 9.8 is only when the question says free fall. If you don't see free fall somewhere in this question, or no, they must tell you no friction, ignore air friction, then only can you use 9.8. Don't go into 9.8 mode. It happens. So what is this that they give us there, the 0.21?
Acceleration.
Okay, so that's 0.21. And it says it reaches the ground with a speed of 34 meters per second. Nice. So they were nice to you. You didn't have to convert it. If you had to convert it, remember kilometers per hour is also always going to be the biggest value. So you have to times by 3.6. And they want from us the distance the hailstone traveled from the top of the cloud to the ground. So what are we going to do? What do they want from us?
Squared equals VR squared plus 2AX.
You'll hate it. How much easier is that? V squared equals U squared plus 2AS. VF squared equals VI squared. Okay, but I don't think we need to waste time on this, right? You can do this.
Yeah.
And so can you see I'm right? Plug and play. You choose an equation, you stick your values in and you calculate.
What are the 4 marks?
You'll get 1 mark for the equation. Oh. Because of direction.
I was about to say, you have to assign direction.
Yeah, so we decided that what do you want down to be? Because everything is moving down, it just makes sense to make everything down. So then if you're getting your values, what they would assign a mark to is that this value and your A value must have the same sign because they are both down. Because often, because of what teachers done in the past, up is positive, down is negative, they will give these the same sign, or the opposite signs, and that's where you would lose your marks.
But you could put negative 0.21 and negative 30.
As long as they've got the same sign, yeah, that's
So
fine.
it must always have the same sign, even if they give it to you as a negative and positive, you have to change it around.
They would never force you into, if it's a question that doesn't have a graph, you can always decide yourself. But you need to decide on the direction. If the velocity is down when it hits the ground and you decided that that was positive, acceleration will always be down. If you decided that down is negative, then this will be negative. So it's just what you decide.
Do you have to state that you're using down as positive?
Yes, please do. Because if you go and give an answer as a negative and you never stated it, also don't leave your answer as a negative ever. She hates it. Oh, the examiner has now changed, but the moderator is still the same. She does it. They don't like when you leave an answer as a negative. It means nothing. You actually have to write the sentence and say what your negative means, down or up.
But now this was distance, so you don't actually have to.
You didn't have to put a direction, but to do the calculation, you would have had to put the same sign in, otherwise your distance would have been wrong. But absolutely, the answer doesn't have to have a direction.
So would it be our answer downwards, even if we made and then stated downwards positive? So
For this one, a mark wouldn't be allocated to the sign because they said distance and not displacement. But if they say displacement, yes, then you have to. If your answer is negative and you leave it as a negative, they'll take a mark off.
So even though we said, let's say it was displacement and we said we got a positive answer, must we just say down even though we took.
If it was displacement, yes, you have to.
Acceleration will also be positive. So do we not have to say downwards if it's not displacement?
If it's distance, you don't have to worry about direction. Remember, it's a scalar. For all the scalars, you don't have to put direction. Okay, then these explanation questions are where people lose marks all the time. So it's only 2 marks, but they say here falling objects normally have an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second. Explain why the acceleration of the hailstone is less. Okay, now please, if you can't explain it in words, remember in physics, not so much in chemistry, but in physics, you can always draw a diagram to help your explanation. If we can see from the diagram that you know what you're doing, you'll get your marks. So if we have a falling object, normally, for this 9.8, what is true? If it's falling...
Gravitational acceleration is increasing.
Good. It's the only force that acts in on it oh, I knew that was going to happen, is Fg. There's no upward force. So you can even say F up is 0. Then the acceleration, remember Fg equals ma, which is then mg, and then g is going to be 9.8 meters per second squared. So this is for the 9.8. But what about this hailstone? If this is my hailstone, it still has Fg pulling it down. But in real life, now remember, always when something is falling far or fast, you can't ignore friction. So what's pushing this hailstone back up? Air friction, yes. So we've got air friction pulling it up. And this is where actually Newton comes in.
Yeah, so would we be given, like, we haven't learned this, is this like general knowledge that we have to apply to, to...
Well, you've done vectors. So he could probably ask this. I would say no. I would love to say no, but I can't see what Yeah, you can't just say because of air friction, because you need to say that the net force acting now is much smaller. The net force acting here is now much smaller than Fg, because to get the net force you have to say, and this is where you could ask it because you've done vectors. So to get the net force, you're going to say winning minus losing. So you're going to say Fg minus the air friction. So F net is now much smaller than Fg, and therefore acceleration is going to be much smaller than the gravitational acceleration. So if you did this for me, the bit in the pink, I would give you full marks even without an explanation. Even if you didn't say any word, because you can see that you understand what you're doing. But if you were going to do it in words, you would say F net is smaller than Fg due to air friction. And therefore the acceleration is going to be smaller than gravitational acceleration. You've got the answers. And then the last part is Newton, as you would see there. So I would love to say he won't ask you something like this because you haven't done Newton yet. Let's find another graph. Okay, this one is quick and easy. Oh, I'm saying it, but it's multiple choice. Let's see if it's quick and easy. Okay, so now I want you to use that method with find the rubbish. Because sometimes it's easy to see the answer, sometimes it's not. Can you find it? 1.4, I think, in the next paper. Thank you. I should have put the page numbers in. A ball is thrown vertically upwards. So when it says thrown upwards, what do you know? The I is not 0. Good. And returns to the thrower's hand. Ignore air resistance. When they say ignore air resistance, what do you also know? Fg is the only force acting on it, so you can use 9.8. Which one of the following best describes the direction of the ball's acceleration during the flight? Now, for the acceleration, if a ball is going up and down, is it ever going to change? Okay, so that's why I'm saying this question is almost too easy, because he throws it upwards and it lands. What is the acceleration going to be? If you read it and you said ignore air resistance, you immediately told yourself A is G equals 9.8. Is that ever going to change?
No.
Is the direction of the acceleration ever going to change? When it's going up, which direction is the acceleration? When it's at the top, which direction is the acceleration? When it's going down, which direction is the acceleration? Okay, so this was too easy. But people get confused because they get confused with velocity and acceleration. And that's why guys, we don't overuse bolding in final papers. If there's something in bold, there's a reason for it. So she bolded it for a reason, so that you don't get confused with velocity. Because a lot of people said up, 0, down, because they were thinking about the velocity rather
Velocity at the top of the clock is zero.
yeah, and velocity here would then be positive. Velocity up. Velocity there would be 0 and velocity would be down. Don't get confused. What's wrong? Is it the bell?
That's like cool.
Get so used to it, you don't even hear it after a while. It's actually sad. Okay, here's a dropped one. When they say it's on a distant planet, what do you immediately also have to know?
The gravitational acceleration is different.
It's not going to be 9.8. Good, yeah, it's different. Okay, they're giving you a velocity time graph. How do you know this is dropped? Starts at 0. Okay, and they say it bounces on a solid floor. Somewhere there in space there are solid floors. Okay, the time of the bounce is negligible. So remember that's going to change later on. Okay, the planet has no atmosphere. What does that tell you? Nice. Okay, so define acceleration. Can you see how much they love asking define acceleration? So that's obviously a definition that you need to learn. He's given you those sheets with the definitions on it. Yeah? Okay, you'll see these flashcards as well on the, as he printed the flashcards for you. No.
It's already the rate of change of velocity.
Yeah. So you will see on the thingy, you can cut, what did I do with it? I hope it's here. Under general information. Yeah. So it's straight from the SAG, so you will know that you're doing the right thing. Doesn't want to open for me. Anyway, you guys can go and look. So if you cut them out and you cut them in half, you can just fold them and they flashcards for all the definitions for chemistry and physics. It just helps you to study them. Remember, at the end of the year, you might think that you're going to go through all of them, but you won't. So just do it every now and then. Go through all the flashcards. You can make one for grade 11, one for grade 12. Okay, calculate the magnitude and the acceleration of the ball on this planet. If they say the magnitude and the acceleration is a velocity time graph, how do you get the acceleration from a velocity time graph? Please write that. Say that acceleration equals gradient. Why would you write it?
Because then you can get along.
Exactly. Then you go and look. Where am I getting the gradient? You need to find places where you have the values for, and you actually have it everywhere. So you could have done it for that line there, or you could have done it for that line there. It really doesn't matter. I will just do the first one because it's got zeros in it. So it's going to be final minus initial, that point. We can use those 2 points, and you can do it. So 3. What do you get? Are you calculating it? You all have pink calculators.
Yeah.
And what's the unit? Do we have to give a direction?
No. Is it magnitude?
If you see the word magnitude, you don't have to worry about direction. If the word it is a vector, but magnitude means size. So they're only asking for the size. But if you were going to give a direction, what would you say? Downwards. You don't have to worry about don't say positive, negative, nothing. Think about English. Please, the simpler your answer, the easier you get marks, just down. But in this one, you didn't have to say. They will never take off a mark if you put down, and it is down, and you didn't need it. So even if you put it there, they wouldn't take off a mark. But if you said up, obviously, they will take off a mark. So if you see magnitude, don't worry. Now this next question, calculate the height from which the ball was dropped. What are they? If you have a graph, velocity time graph, how do you get the height?
The area underneath.
Area underneath the graph. But is it now there? Is it there? Is it there? Where on earth are we going to go? And this is where you need to think.
Where?
Where was it dropped?
From 0.
This is where it was dropped. Where did it hit the ground? So I need this area under the graph. Again, please write displacement equals area to make sure you get that mark. And then you're going to do half base times height. Does this not seem too easy for a final paper question?
That's for matric.
Yeah, it's out of the final. See, you guys can already answer half the matric paper.
No, but I feel like when you're under that much stress,
I know, stress messes with your brain, it's true. But if you've practiced 10 of these questions and now the exam comes and it looks exactly the same, then stress is not so much anymore. That's why I did these in topic. So when you finish the topic, you practice 10 of the same questions and then it becomes boring, I think. And there we go, there's our answer. You have the answer. Again, it's height. So do you have to say a direction here? No, but it's a nice habit to say it was dropped from a height of 10 meters or whatever the answer is. Okay. Feels as if I didn't teach you much today. Did you learn something?
Yes.
Okay, let me just stop this recording. And then I'll share it with you guys. I put it on YouTube because of the fact that it uses less data for you guys when you're looking at it. So
Thank you so much.
it will be a YouTube link.